All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the October 19th MNRCC meeting. Glad to see all of you here. I'm still waiting for one more. So, okay, so since we have an in-person quorum, thank you, everyone. And an approval for the agenda for today. I'll make the motion. Get a second. Second. All in favor? All right, against? Okay, thank you. The approval of the July 20th meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to accept. Second the motion. All in favor? All right, thank you. That was nice. Okay, now we have the nomination election of officers, so I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, it is our biennial, every other year. Time for us to nominate and elect our the officers of MNRCC. So on the slate, we are today moving the nomination and having that election, and then moving and voting on the nomination and moving on voting on that nominated slate. So first the nomination, then the slate. The slate to be nominated are Randy as chair, Walter as vice chair, Francina as executive committee member for MNRCC. I have a motion for that slate as to be nominated.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, Rosalind and Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, great. Nominations passed. Now the election of that slate. May I have a motion for the election of that slate as nominated?
So moved.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, super. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. And next time we'll have we'll do it in June. We're putting that on our calendar.
June is,
We'll do it in May. Yeah.
All right, thank you
Okay,
all.
thank you.
It's been full of representing you again, continuing to do that. Okay, so chair report. Thankfully, there's not a lot of bad stuff happening out there. We had the storm. In fact, yesterday, Jack and I rode up to Passaic. We were going through Mott Haven and coming back. I looked through there and it was pretty good. It was unfortunately very good. It was all inundated by water and shut the railroad down.
Right.
So were you affected? Well, you didn't go in that day. Okay. Anyway.
Did they do work? They did work there, right, to shore it up at Mott Haven?
Well, you know, I did look at that close detail about it, but I will I'll have an offline conversation Monday to find out.
Yes.
And so anyway, when we rode up on the Passaic on the upper hall, they were saying, and that is even Walter will remember from years going past, any kind of little storm that comes through there, that's like the first one. Trees come down. Trees coming up, but it looked very, very tidy. Yeah, it looked like they had done some tree work, but of course you never know. It's something that they would see could kind of fall the next time. And then I was honored to be invited to last week's annual President's and Team Excellence Award. We're sitting next to one that awarded from 1993. And this is something that they've been doing for 37 years, I think. I had been to some in the past, so it was nice to go back there. I mean, the stuff that some of the people did was just really outstanding. You know, the young woman, she's in charge of the track work on the New Haven line, and she developed an app that they do all the tracking and things like that. She had and it was and of course there was a one they had three individuals and they had 4 teams, and the last team is the one I'm more familiar with because back in the spring there was CSX derailment of a freight train up in CP 52. So after everything, all the service was restored, they did some, and did a magnificent job of rebuilding and getting service back. I decided to take a ride. And so coming back, I was riding, right with the cab door open, chatting with the engineer when I could. And he mentioned to me about an incident that he was involved in, where a kid had escaped from the house. He thought that the mother thought that the back door was locked, and he wound up on the boat bed. And the northbound train reported, and they stopped. Immediately the train when they saw, and the conductor jumped down and ran. It was saved. Anyway, they did honor him and the whole group of them at the Metro North Committee meeting, but I made sure that they were doing it. They were doing it anyway, but I wanted to make sure they could. And they were one of the people selected the whole group, so they went in the house. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to add. We're getting new timetables on the 29th. I checked this morning, but they're not being posted.
29th of October, November.
Yes, in October, and Metro North looking transit this a couple of weeks or two later, but the person who gave the information didn't know precisely.
When you say issue, it's posted on the web, not
Well, here, that's
actually
right.
printed.
Yes, you're right. There's a sort of
They
like
do it
they
out.
keep asking for it, but they don't want to spend the money to do it. Don't want to do that.
Kind of circling back to the flooding from from a few weeks ago. So my boss and my two bosses were like heading back home to Scarborough and Brewster. And they called me and were like, I was still in the office. New Jersey Transit, totally unaffected. But they're like, how do we get up there? It's all it's all messed up or whatever. And they're at Grand Central and there's like 10 million people,
Right.
and it's like oh, I went on the website and I could see it's like, oh, service on the Hudson line will be at Yankee Stadium, and service on the Harlem line will be where was it?
233.
Yeah, 233.
Woodmore there.
Yeah, Woodlawn, right? So I was like, oh, okay. So you just want to make your way there, and then you can get on a train. So they ended up traveling together, but they go downstairs, the 4 platform, it's like full of people. They can't do that. I'm like, just make your way over to 6th Avenue, catch a D. You can get up to Yankee Stadium and do it that way. So get around.
Good to have a good resource to have.
They both ended up going together to Yankee Stadium to catch a Hudson Line train.
Oh,
And then there was a question of like, are they running service? I was using the radar, the
Yeah.
MDA, and I could see like there are no trains moving between Terrytown and Croton for some period of time, but they got through. And my boss drove him over to Pleasantville to catch a train. But what the MTA website failed to say was that because of a break between North White Plains and Valhalla, there's like, if you're looking for Harlem Line service, it was really basically between Woodlawn and, or not Woodlawn, but
Wakefield.
Wakefield and North White Plains.
that's as far as it went.
Yeah, that's as far as they went. So like beyond that, he was waiting there for 2 hours or whatever, and the countdown clocks would say like, oh, 7 minutes, 3 minutes. The next one will be here in like 15 minutes, and that went on for a
Well, go
big chunk of time. Yeah, it goes.
That's the
I could-
schedule. not
I could
that.
see on the radar that it was like, there seems to be some trains coming down from the north, but they were progressing very slowly or not at all or whatever. And finally he had to like call a friend to come down to Pleasantville and pick them up and take them to Brewster.
Wow.
But
Wow,
there was like that bit of information about Harlem Line trains. Yeah, you can catch them there, but they will only take you as far as like
Right.
essentially White Plains.
Carol, did we see anything about that on Twitter? We'll go back and we'll look to see if there was.
We didn't
Yeah.
see that specifically, but.
That's a major.
Yeah.
Should have announced that. You want to go to Golden Bridge or wherever. or something.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
You better get a ride. I think you better call an Uber or something.
No, Ubers are probably
Yeah.
$300.
Yes, that was that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, it was like just outrageous, but there was a breakdown in this. We can only take you so far. You can catch a train, it's not a Grand Central, you have to go up to the Bronx to get it, and then we can't even take you the whole way, yeah, right, because of the gap between Valhalla,
Interesting.
Northway Plains and Valhalla. Hey, I told him I will bring it up.
And that you did,
Yeah,
okay?
okay, so, oh well, there you go.
Question, do we have any current statistics on as to what percentage of the pre-COVID ridership we now have on each of the lines at peak, I mean, also on weekends, because train we took down this morning,
Absolutely correct.
was very, very full. This was an off-peak train.
Walker was walking through the train to find 2 seats together for us.
Did you use the app to see what train cars?
You know,
were
it didn't
crowded
show
or
up
not?
on the display.
Do you have both apps?
There's a
Well,
big,
no, I was looking at the display at the station, which sometimes shows each
Yeah.
car on the
Mhm.
train and how
Right.
many people are in each car. But it didn't show it for this train. It showed it for a train going the other way to Poughkeepsie, but it didn't show it for the train I was waiting on. And then, when I got on the first car, usually this pretty empty and whoa, it was all filled up. I walked through, I had to go to the fifth car to really to find
Yeah.
2 seats together.
We had a ride backwards.
And
Yeah.
last week I went up to New Canaan. And the train from here to Stamford, was rather full.
What time of day was that?
Probably around 11 o'clock in the morning out of here, 11:04, I think it was out of here. But the train from Stamford to New Canaan, yeah, it was 15 people on it. But they ran a 6-car train, a 6-car train of M8 equipment. With 15 people on it.
A 7 o'clock bomb step and go up to us.
Right, well, I went up to Danbury a couple weeks ago and it was, they had a 7-car train. Going on the shuttle train on the Danbury branch with only 2 cars open.
That's what happened with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I use the apps. There's 2 apps. There's a beta testing of the My MTA app.
Right, I have that.
And then there's the Train Time app. And they both have their success stories, and then they both have their challenges. So I toggle back and forth between the 2 of them. What I found lately, they did an update on the My MTA app to see both how crowded the trains are, where they are, if there's any delays, number of cars, where to stand, things like that. When we went to Mineola for Long Island Railroad Council meeting last week, the train left on the way back. The train was leaving Mineola. It was 2 minutes late, which is still on time.
Yeah.
But because it was 2 minutes late, it showed on the My MTA app it's having departed, and I couldn't get back into it to see what the occupancy of it was.
Yeah.
And on the Train Time app, it wasn't showing how many people were in the cars.
Mm.
So I took screenshots of that and I'll send it to them. But I've had that experience before where if the train is late, it just is like gone. And on the Train Time app, you can go backwards in time and see, even though your train has departed a station,
Oh, I didn't know that.
what where it is, what it looks like, and the number of cars, and the number, which the more crowded cars are. So, because it's by station progressively changes. So, I think you'd find it
Yeah,
you would
usually it's-
particularly find it interesting to do that as well.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know that, thanks. I usually look at the station display. And like I said, my train didn't, it showed the train, but it didn't
Right.
show the diagram of the cars.
May depend where it originated from. Because I don't know. Peter, I don't know if there's somebody who you can suggest we share our app recommendations with. Since you jumped on. Or you came on and went somewhere. Peter Ramos.
He's there, but it may not be. able to-
Right, it may not be there.
you're muted.
There's
No, he's
also
also-
something called MTA radar.
Yes,
I'd like to be able to get that, because that should be.
that's what Richard was speaking about. It's radar.mta.
How do you,
.info.
Right,
radar?
Yeah, it's just you open your web browser and you just go to
I
radar.
was trying to figure out what it was, because I
Radar.
wasn't shared with you.
and it shows you where your train, it shows you where
Radar.mta.
Yeah.
.info.
.info.
Shows you where all the trains are, doesn't show you
Well,
the number of cars or
Right.
anything like that.
No, you can zoom in.
Oh,
Zoom
okay.
in enough,
Name of the
it'll show you the
engineer.
number of cards.
Sorry,
But you don't get the details about the loading.
no, yeah,
No, it,
Well, there's
it
one that
will
shows the
color
train
code.
numbers.
That's-
and the
that
engine
shows
numbers.
that.
Does that show the
Yeah,
engine?
I think it does.
It's cool.
Yeah,
It's really.
yeah, that's the one.
Right, so
Well,
the
obviously-
thing about the train time in the MyMTA app also is the train time, as I was going someplace, it showed there were 8 cars. And the MyMTA app showed 10 cars. And technically, there are 10 cars, but only 8 of them were passenger service, because there was locomotive,
Right.
Either
Oh,
way.
yeah.
so that,
While I was waiting for Walker's train to arrive, and the Amtrak went up, and I didn't see the Amtrak listed there, so I will speak with staff on Monday to find out if they could
to the what,
wait on that.
Oh.
The Amtrak trains.
they may not be able to. I don't know if they had other service.
Okay. Well,
You don't know what that's linked to, where they get that information, because the dispatcher's office has all the trains, you know.
we're not the expert. They'll figure
So you
something
can-
out.
Oh,
Oh, I was waiting.
yeah, he had that on his one.
And then at the top, you can tap on loading.
I
and
know
it'll
it's
show you the
built
load
wall,
for each
Mhm.
those
card.
two doorways which have glass on them.
Right.
So I took the picture and sent it to Metro North to find out, so I think they can just remove that stupid glass. Because in the previous years, people didn't walk through there, you could see how the marble flooring is used. Somebody thought we did something. What's this feature? All right, so I've got.
Now, like.
Oh, it did show you that.
loading. Yeah,
Oh.
you can pick loading.
Some of those trains are shown in red. What is the reason?
No, it depends on the line, like, for example,
the red.
the other red dots, I don't
Red
know.
dots, yeah.
6 minutes late. That's,
Oh, yeah, the red is like.
yeah, I think red is like, oops.
Okay, so let's go to the executive director update.
Okay, I am absolutely positively thrilled to introduce you to Jack Connors, who is our new research and communications associate. He's been with us for 2 weeks now. Yeah, and has already accomplished quite a number of different things. 2 weeks seems like 2 months, right? We locked the door from the inside, so we can't get out. We're gonna staple his building pass to his clothes up. Or put snow mittens on. But Jack has been working with Kara on a number of ideas and projects for the coming year. We'd like to get your ideas for some projects for next year as well. And we're gonna gather together what we have and share them with you, and then at the next meeting, ask for your input and thoughts as well. On October, the first Friday in October, 6th,
Mhm.
we released our the Omni report, which Kara and Ryan worked on diligently with input from many of you. And thank you, and apologies for a late notice about the press event. It was very late because we didn't get our final location until literally just hours before the close of business the day before. To get approval, I was on a conference call with 12 Metro North folks and station people. To just get approval, because it was in the building and they wanted to make sure that we were respecting the property, which of course we do. And they had no interest in quashing our speech, but just making sure that we understood the rules of the railroad as it were. Which we do, and we will respect. The report, leading up to the report, we met with a number of elected officials and community organizations. We had one story in the streets blog. But this is the beginning. We've already seen some new recommendations, I think, that we'd like to incorporate. We want to continue to work with elected officials to move forward our recommendations. And we've gotten some really terrific feedback from Senator Conry, from the Senate Council in general, from other elected officials who'd like to meet with us. we would really, I didn't get any response from the, Westchester County Executive's Office. And I reached out to Joan and Emily by email 4 times, and I called Emily and left a message. And it may be that this is not their issue, but we really welcome the opportunity to give them a briefing. And also to follow up on the outstanding member issue. So maybe that's something that we can coordinate. I'm looking at Rosalind and Walter in particular, to see how we can move forward on that. But the Omni report, we think this is really now is the time for us to begin making the recommendations come true. To begin moving the MTA in the right direction. In the Streets blog article, when asked, the MTA said that Omni is really an opportunity for to open a lot of different doors to the way people travel, and we couldn't agree more. We just think that the doors that are open should be for more people in a more opportune way. And this is the silver lining in the long delay is a golden opportunity. Right, to move the thought process forward. I did see the installation of an Omni machine this morning at Bowling Green. So that was kind of cool. And they wouldn't let me take a picture of the inside, but that's also fine because it just looks like a bunch of guts in the machine to me. I'm sure somebody else can hack into it very well. But so we'll keep you posted. We would, very much like to, work with our electeds. So Amy Paulin at an event the other night, we reached out to her and her staff hadn't heard back. She chairs a different committee now in the assembly, but that doesn't mean that people who ride trains in her district don't care. So we've got some things that we're working on, including working with on the ground with some elected officials towards some legislative priorities that we'd like to develop. And also a sign-on letter and an op-ed. So we may reach out to you and ask you for your help on that. But definitely, if we can if we can engage Joan and Emily or county executive in Westchester, that would be terrific. Oh, one other thing. We do have an active application process open for associate director. And we're filling that position. We've gotten some good resumes and cover letters that we've only gotten like 2-3 repeats. But we've gotten, I think by the middle of next week, we'll be able to probably start setting up some interviews. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. Not that, for New Year's, we're gonna get a new AG, but maybe in the early New Year. Because we know how long it takes.
How long was it from the beginning? So you got all of them?
We interviewed you in early June. We sent in your resume in early May. We interviewed you in early June. We made the offer to you in early August. Early to mid-August. And you started on September 8th. No, October 5th. On
October 5th.
October 5th.
2 weeks now.
Speed record for MTA.
Yeah. And they changed the process so that now they're doing half the background check before we can even make an offer.
So really very
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. So I guess the good news is there's a lot of hiring happening at the MTA. Or just put it that as, we'll just leave it at the good news.
Good. Glad to have you aboard.
Yes. Thank you for your patience and perseverance.
Yeah.
And even so, Jack had previously worked with Senator Brad Hoyle and Siegel, and the senator came to our press conference, which was very nice. That's a testament to Jack. And the work that we did, but Jack. And the work we did with Jack. So, does anybody have any questions for me? Okay,
So we're going, it's, what's the month, 20 years,
Hector, is it 12:45?
Oh,
No, he's, yeah,
All right, so let's go ahead with
I
the,
have
what?
one thing.
I'll tell him
I'd
to
like
jump
for a
on it.
while. I was looking at the materials that Connecticut distributed for their fare increase and their service changes. Which I guess CDOT is proposing based on what the governor told them to do. And one thing, they printed nice timetables, I'll say that, but which you could actually print out and read them, unlike what Metro North does. But anyway, aside from that, they seem to be putting 125th Street Station in with Fordham Station for the fare schedule. And that, I'm sure Metro North is going to violently object to that, because that would create all sorts of problems. And I don't know if that was a mistake, or if they did it deliberately. If anybody knows that, I'd be interested in knowing that.
so one of the recommendations of our report was that the city all be one zone.
Fordham and Grand Central be the same zone.
All city stations.
Because they are, if you can get a city ticket,
Well, that would make it much easier then for the people on the train crews, because they don't have to go through the train again,
but if you're getting a city ticket anywhere in the city. You can, except maybe not Grand Central, you can get it at 125th Street. You can't buy it at Grand Central, that's the only place you can't get it.
Oh, you can't buy it in Grand Central.
That's a combo ticket, sorry, thank you. But a city ticket you can get on the app, you can get it
Right,
anywhere in the city, so you can get it from Fordham to Grand Central.
Right.
And that includes any of the stops in between.
oh, but the thing is,
125th.
most of the people using Fordham up in New Haven are coming from Worcester and Mamaroneck and Greenwich and places like that, getting off at Fordham. There's a lot of people get off at Fordham from Westchester and Fairfield counties. And if they have to pay the same fare as Grand Central, they're gonna pay a lot more money than they're paying now. But what I saw was they had one fare was Grand Central. And the next zone was 125th Street and Fordham. And that didn't quite make sense to me.
So Fordham. And.
They had Fordham and 125th Street in the same zone. Well, 125th Street is, again, should be the same as Grand Central. I mean. But they had 125th Street the same as Fordham, if I remember correctly. I haven't got the schedule with me, but.
So if I were looking up a ticket price now on the MTA app, which station parents would I look up?
Well, if you're going out of Fordham to, say, Port Chester. And the fare to there would be much less than from Grand Central to Port Chester.
And so it says an immediate fare of $5.
Mhm.
And if I were looking,
Oh, for instance.
and what was the other 125th to Port
Well,
Chester?
or Grand Central to Port Chester, they should be the same as 125th.
Yeah, there's not an intermediate fare.
Right.
But if it's 125th,
Welcome aboard, Francis. Nice to see you.
right, they don't have that.
Again.
So.
Well, what Connecticut seemed to be doing was putting 125th Street in the same zone as Fordham, which how they enforce that, I don't know, but people going to 125th Street then could buy a separate ticket. They wouldn't have to pay the fare to Grand Central. And they'd be getting a big fare reduction if it's the same as the fare to Fordham.
But sounds like what they did was make a mistake, because it's
It
not
might
up to
have been.
them
I
to
don't
set,
know.
it's not up to them to set Metro North fare policy. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
so
Metro
they
North, I think, would
basically just
object to
messed
that,
up.
Strongly, I would think.
That sounds like a mistake.
Yeah, that sounds like, yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cutting service when ridership is coming back and they don't know their fares. So I don't think they care.
Mm.
But it's interesting that all the trains they selected only serve community stations.
Well, they have to, because Kathy had said they're not going to.
Something they did recently, maybe it was as much as a year ago. They allow people going from Grand Central to Fordham to take a New Haven train. That was a bonus.
Oh, that's what happened a couple of years ago.
For a lot of people. And I'm wondering how they worked it out with Connecticut.
They pay them more.
They what?
I think they changed the payment structure.
They must have. They
Yeah.
must have. I was curious as what they did because we tried to do that some years ago, back in the old days when I worked there. And Connecticut was very opposed to that.
That must have also had something to do with passenger counts or something, but I believe that I read when we were looking at it that there was an increase in the payment to allow that stuff.
Yeah, one story I heard was they were crediting the New Haven service with all the tickets sold between Grand Central and Fordham. Or maybe some percentage of them based on some study. Anyway,
I don't know.
you know,
Hi, Francis. Do you want to skip to unless there's something else to Rich's report?
Sure.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, how you doing? Okay, it's about the low bridge signs, correct?
Yes, and the other and any other update that you have to share with us.
Yeah, the new signs on the town road are in. They're yellow, obviously very bright. And then the state recently put their new signs on the main road, which is Route 32 in Woodbury. So what that does is it gives the trucks about 500 feet notice before you make the turn that there's a low bridge. And those signs also are bright yellow. So all the signs are in. The only thing we're waiting for is some kind of sign on the bridge itself. Right, as you go underneath the bridge, they have not finished those signs yet. So the signs on the local street are in, the signs on the state street are in. So it took a while because it had to be signed off by the state, the town. So I'm just waiting for Metro North to see the type of signs that they're gonna put on the bridge itself.
Rich, here's an idea. Some of the people that are involved in this project, if they can get a hold of like Waze or Google Maps to put that in the trucking app, if there's such a thing, to alert them to these because the MTA has an arrangement with Waze and Google that if they have a major breakdown or shutdown of one of the facilities, they can go in there and put it in. And they call them and say, this is what we just did. And when it's all cleared up, they undo it and they call them and tell them, we just removed it. So that might be something that's worth doing. It would be just like you're approaching a grade crossing at a 10th of a mile, whatever it is.
Would that be the same contact for Metro North, the capital project manager? I forgot her name now off my head.
No, that's something that your municipality should do.
Oh, municipality.
Yeah, they should get a hold of them.
All right, let me write that down. Okay. Can you just repeat that name again? GPS? What was that again?
Google Maps or Waze.
Google, okay.
And Apple Maps.
I don't know that one. Apple Maps has been suggested added to.
Okay, I wrote it down. I'll find out.
Super, thank you.
As far as the TOC, they're coming in next month for the quarterly update. So as soon as I get the report, I will pass that along.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great work on the bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. Super. Thank you. We've been joined by Hector Garcia, who usually works on the Long Island Railroad side, but knows everything about everything, is going to give us an overview on the 20-year needs assessment.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Hector.
Hey, how you doing? So, 2 weeks ago, we released the new 20-year needs assessment. The takeaway from that was it was a new way of doing it. It was taking, the analysis of all the infrastructure, creating a rating system to actually keep itemize the level of the status of each one. And then also we analyze some, expansion projects of new service. As you know, the capital program, the majority of it, 80% or more, it's state of good repair. That's the meat and potatoes of it. So we looked at everything, and it's an old system, and it identifies what what are the priorities. Well, it doesn't prioritize it yet, but it just lists what things we think we need to be investing in the next 20 years. And with the release, kind of the public debate begins, because it is a public process. We know what needs to be done in the next 20 years. And it's going to come down to how much money we have and what projects are going to proceed. So with that, I like to keep things very simple, but I'm open to any questions anybody may have.
You had some questions, I think.
I put it with the PowerPoint release too.
Yeah.
Oh. What's the Hudson?
Yeah.
Well, I did raise this question with my shipper. There was very little in the program for west of Hudson. There's one project for the midpoint yard on the Port Jervis line, which I remember going with staff and watching this 10, 15 years ago. And it still seems to be a work in progress. And back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Metro North joined with New Jersey Transit to build the sidings on the Pascack Valley line. And the number was 6 sidings, and there was opposition from some elected officials in New Jersey. And they, in order to move the project, an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, signed between all those municipalities and New Jersey Transit, that built 4 of them. So 2 of the sidings that were proposed never got built. Well, they did have the foresight to put control points in this, so they kind of like a little bit of the work ahead of time, to prepare for it. But and the problem is it's a single track line, and if the schedules all work, the trains come to the stations, then one goes into siding, and it's just like on the eastern part of Long Island. And but the problem is that if one of the trains is late, they can't go anywhere until that train actually gets there, because there's just too many miles and too many stations between them. So Metro North participated in funding the project, and when this last 2 sidings didn't get built, the money was returned to them. So like I said, this is a New Jersey project, and we don't do New Jersey projects, but it's something that it's one of the very few things that Rockland County could get for its $40 million surplus is paid to the MTA every year.
That wasn't a question, right? That was you was making a statement.
Yeah, it's a statement and a question to see if there's any way that could be, of course, it's not going to get added this time. When is the next 20 years starts?
So just because something wasn't say in here or even the stuff that was rated, if it wasn't highly rated, doesn't mean that it's that it can't happen.
Oh,
It just
right.
means
Okay.
so even the stuff that's rated, right? There was in terms of the expansion project, there's only all of them can't proceed, but they try to just set up a baseline in terms of objective criteria of how to analyze these projects, not which one is going to be of greater benefit to the region, which one is going to lead to more ridership, those kind of things. But then I'll give you an example, because I know it better. Is like on Long Island Railroad, the Port Jefferson branch, and modernizing and electrifying or double tracking that branch.
Yeah.
That was rated. It was like in the middle of it was kind of in the middle. It wasn't the most it was in the middle. But if for example, one of the things that we rated on is future ridership. That's tied to housing and growth. So for example, even though it got a middle level rating now, if the next few years, say all those towns in those areas change their rezoning, that would spur a lot more development, that can change the equation. That can make then something like this more likely to happen sooner. But I guess the purpose of this way of doing of this approach to identifying, what's going to be the next capital program, it's supposed to be more data driven, not just, who has more political clout to push something over something else. But then it's going to be objective other things that are going to influence, what happens, what can happen or not. So.
All right, well, thank you for the info. Would have to be like starting from square one with New Jersey to have and see if there's even interest on that one particularly.
New Jersey has a lot of issues.
Yes.
I don't know if their capital. I don't know what their capital budget looks like. But it, a lot of their capital money was diverted to roads.
Hudson Bergen like real now they have to start all over again, bring an expansion to Tanglewood.
And they're also opposing something that I don't want to name that could lead to more capital projects.
Sorry, go up.
But they're right, he said they're opposing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, this is
Yeah.
true.
I did see a West of Hudson project in the 20-year needs, right? Was it Port Jervis?
It's a midpoint yard.
Mid-20,
I think does it include also some sidings? Some passing sidings?
thought it did,
Yeah.
but that was that also not tied to, Stewart Airport, or is that not, is that a separate?
I think there was a Stewart Airport thing in there.
There is a
also.
Stewart Airport thing in there too.
Oh,
A different project.
Right, but that's just like, they just moves out into different places over the course of my life.
very close to it,
Yeah.
Where can we find this?
So
That's-
where is that, can you put in the chat, Hector, the link to the 20-year needs? The appendices is where the meat of the potatoes are. And that's where you find a lot of the detail, I think.
All of the details, a lot.
Yeah, all of the details. We're excited about this, because it's a rational way of looking at the region's needs. That's the good news. The bad news is that it's a rational way of looking at the region's needs. So that sort of puts it in a more balanced perspective of a huge amount of money needs to go to state of good repair. And there is not as much left as any of us would hope for expansion projects and for other projects that would benefit expanding ridership, if not, putting out new lines. So, we're gonna see continuation, Penn access is something that we're looking forward to.
Yes.
And there's some, I think some exciting things coming up that hopefully we'll hear about in the next week or so on Penn access. At the meetings that were in the NIT tip. But also, that's already contained in this year's capital program. But I haven't taken it as close a look. Are there components of Penn access included in the 20-year needs assessment, or are we considering that is done and those components are already included in the next capital? Do you know?
I think that's already a project.
It is already a project.
Yeah.
So are component pieces of existing projects included in the 20-year needs, or is this all new needs?
20-year needs is new things.
New things, okay.
Yeah, things that aren't accounted for yet or in the works.
I believe Penn Access is all in the last capital program.
Not the Carson.
It's
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
it's in the
that's
current
fine.
one, but it's gonna extend into the next one.
Sure.
But it's probably been accounted for in the last 20-year needs.
Yes, it has already been justified and committed to, so you don't need to analyze it anymore.
Thank you.
I can show I just put the in the link, but I can show it if you want me to just show people what it looks like, the page.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be great. Hold on, let me share the screen. No, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Can you share control?
Yes, you can do that.
Still hasn't, I'm still, okay, now I got it. So this is the opening page. But over here on the right-hand side is where is the actual, the main document. It's a big document, so it's taking a little to load. Yeah, so this is the main document, kind of laying out the, it lays it out. And then, there's different appendices that show you that it goes into depth for each agency and the different, by the different categories of stations, right of way, power, signal, and then it breaks out everything and you see the rating system. So this is, like this is Metro North.
See that, wait, there's seven, yeah, I told, if you go down, it says to buy 750 new. Vehicles, including 15 locomotives for West Hudson service.
Yeah, replace the stuff that's been there.
Yeah.
since- Goes back somewhere to 1968.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
that-
here's the, yeah, here's the.
That's Florida, as you know.
Some of the company here wasn't even around.
So does that count, if you're doing replacements for existing locomotives, does that count in the state of good repair?
Yes. So
Okay.
all the equipment has a useful life, so you know within the next 20 years, it is gonna have replaced. So that's built in. Then the next one is, there's no need additional equipment to expand service. But the priorities, is what you need. Wanting more to expand, but then that becomes a debate, and this all comes to funding when.
Right.
Example, just again, just facilities and of different assets. I think it was like 6 million. I think overall the number is like 6 million assets at the MTA that was looked at and kind of rated.
As we say, the system is old and vast.
Does that include west of Hudson line, like facilities?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, there could be some stations in there.
Well, something is under a second project. Maybe accessible.
Yeah. Are the materials available, like somewhere about making stuff or acceptable?
There's no, I think, hiring consultants.
It's been a long struggle. Because of all the different
Agents?
components and different, it's agents, it's not just the different agencies, but it's also the different states and the different, municipalities and, yeah, a lot of different moving parts and who owns what. Thank you, Hector, so we'll take a
Thank you.
closer look at that. And see what's there, and we'll share that. Anybody have any questions for Hector?
Any plans for high level platforms at the west of Hudson stations?
I don't think it's at that level yet. Is it at that level of detail? You're now muted.
It looks like we saw Twitch.
Hector, the question was if whether there are any plans for high level platforms at west of Hudson stations. If you know.
You're on mute.
Hector.
You're muted, Hector.
Maybe he's not hearing this. Is he? Oh,
there you go.
Hector.
We can't, no.
But
Still
no,
can't hear you.
Unmuted, but we can't.
His connection has
Yeah.
been kind of flaky before. But
I think he's putting it in. What's that chat? Having issues with my mic.
who's Mike?
What's your?
Oh, how about, oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Welcome back.
Okay.
Welcome back again.
So the question was whether, you know, if there are any plans of high level platforms at west of Hudson.
That goes beyond my level of Metro North expertise. I don't know the answer to
Okay,
that.
All right, you forget it.
right. We thought we'd throw one in there just to, you know, zing. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
But we'll look and see if there, I don't know that it includes that level of detail. It may be considered an accessibility project. There's a lot of accessibility work that's happening across the system. Some of that may be happening now with, or be planned for congestion pricing money. That's a lot of which is included in this capital program. But we can find out, Randy, maybe that's something we can ask on Monday also. Actually, which brings up an interesting point. November 16th is our next MNRCC meeting. That's also the date of the Metro North Accessibility Task Force.
Jen.
So you know, if people are interested in participating in that, then maybe we can just roll through.
He never responded to you when I told him I couldn't do it.
We could make our meeting a little earlier if that suits people. Or we could include it as part of that,
Starts
They
at
would
1.
want us there.
or,
I don't
yeah,
think they would want us there. It's just they try to
too many,
get it over there. Was it?
the non-agency,
1 o'clock.
it's at once, yeah,
1 to 2.
So.
We end at 1:30.
We'll figure it out.
If we decide to move this to 11,
It depends if there are people who are,
just,
working to make it.
yeah, I just, since we have everybody here, would it really work for you? We have the meeting next month at 11 instead of the 12.
Or 11:30, let's see, now that that one.
Yeah, 11:30. Roz, Francis, Rich. We moved it to 11:30, especially consolidate.
And the location will be where?
Here,
Yeah, same place, not same, just half an hour earlier, so the 12 and 11:30.
Okay,
This way we can participate in because I'm a member of that committee. All right, thank you, Rich
I'm good.
and Francis.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Francina?
yes.
All right.
Well, that's-
Yeah. All right, so then I'll email that I will be sort of, thank you very much.
Okay, terrific. Okay. I think we're up to the new business, old business.
Okay. Good.
A new business, it would be nice if Station in New Haven. That's where there were more trains running to and from that station. Only a few. Went to Russia, I believe. So those seasons.
This is.
I think we're gonna see fewer trains because they're cutting service.
If they cut.
Yeah.
And all business, as I stated, 125th Street and Park Avenue. Those bathrooms is constantly inactive over the years. And then I saw a sign earlier this year, that's 6 months in the last 4, I'm saying. you go on and use them if you have a ticket. There's no excuse for that.
So you want to see
How do
it
you
open?
monitor? If you don't use the bathroom, you have to take it. How's that? monitored?
I don't know, because years ago, I entered that stage, I was in the area bathroom. And I just been probably legally charged for trespassing without having a ticket. And one of the two officers, I confirmed, grabbed me, and I mentioned it to former regional rail president. Got his name.
Judge Lay?
No, the one that preceded Howard Permine.
Peter Stanton, no, that's
No,
a
not
long
Peterson,
time ago.
no, but he preceded Howard Permine, but he didn't share my concerns. At the beginning, he was on the right track, and then Howard Permine, he didn't share my concerns either. So, I'm telling you what I experienced within the Metro Railroad, and you're treating me like a UFO, don't play that game with me. I know what I experienced. That the one of the officer who grabbed me said, you're supposed to have a ticket. You can't use the bathroom unless you have a ticket. What's the problem? And the sign that I saw, maybe the last 2 months, they only open between 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. Meanwhile, there's still trains running to and from, but running between 9:30 and 11:30. So I understand the stage is closed during nighttime hours.
6:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. That's
Right.
actually a lot longer than a lot of stations in a lot of places.
But what I'm saying is,
For the bathroom?
Yeah,
what's it? I understand no trains run there between midnight and maybe between midnight and 6 a.m. But during the remaining hours, you can leave the bathroom. So
well, they may not have cleaners. That may be an issue. And you travel extensively, right? You know that in places where there are stations that close that are closed more than they're open, you can't access the bathrooms outside of like an hour and a half. Which is not right at all. I agree with you, but that's a big swath of time. You're saying that you need to should be open. The real issue is why aren't there public restrooms all over the city? That's a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
That 100% couldn't agree with you
Probably
more.
a whole bathroom in the first place. So are you saying that right now, other than the time that the hours of operation of the facilities, the bathrooms, right? Are they only letting people with tickets use the bathroom?
I'm unsure because I was able to enter without a ticket, but I saw a person say,
Oh, okay.
you're gonna use the bathroom if you have a ticket. I said,
Right.
really?
Cause I haven't noticed that yet, right?
But check that
But I
out.
know that in the past, the many times I was in Harlem, trying to use the bathroom, it just always seemed to be an issue because it's open to everyone. So it's flooding or somebody that makes a mess in the bathroom and now someone's left cleaning it, or they don't have enough staff to clean it, so now it's closed until they reopen it again.
Well, until January presides, needs to act. He needs to involve himself, he get involved.
It'd be helpful to get more
He's more
information
concerned about
on
the bodies.
the bathrooms
He's more
for
concerned about
the Harlem train station.
Let's not go off on the tangent, okay? Why don't we get more information on the back?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
also, Branson Terminal. There should be more bathrooms. On one occasion, I see a female enter either men's room, possibly the east side men's room years ago.
That's just not gonna happen.
More bathrooms here?
It's just-
I-
It would be nice, well, actually, like, it would be nice, as big as it is, it should have more bathrooms.
There's more in
I don't think so.
Madison.
Yeah, you can go downstairs too.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying, if you,
They are. Yeah.
Or
if
this
you don't
station
have that
has
on
it.
your
You
mind.
have to know, you have to know that it's there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They're nice right now, they're maintained by a private management company also.
Oh,
That's why I had to meet with 13 people, is because there's a private management company that runs events here also, and it's very interesting.
yeah, finding a public bathroom is challenging
It is,
in the city and outside the city.
yeah. But we'll look into the hours of 125th Street. I know you've raised it before, but
Well, we get train stations
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
With different train stops. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to find a public bathroom.
Just Robert Moore.
yeah, I mean, on Long Island Railroad, There are a lot of stations that are open for 2 hours a day. And that's the only place that you can use the restroom. There were 3.
Or,
Yeah, well. A lot of those are out of order,
Really?
yeah. So, yeah. I just feel a
Anything
presence.
else?
But it's-
don't forget your communication update, you're on.
Yes. So Jack and I have a few items from social media. It's just. Yes, okay. So first, of course, you mentioned it earlier, but that day on the 29th, the Friday with torrential rainfall. Of course, there were tons of outages and a lot of riders were upset for many different reasons. But it's great that service came back relatively quickly with the other flooding issues. There was also on October 7th, a major power issue between Mount Vernon East and New Rochelle that led to over 2-hour delays on the New Haven line. And so there were a lot of questions on Twitter about when service would come back. There wasn't great communication and some people were stranded on trains and were hoping for refunds, but the Metro-North had to let people know that they do not give refunds, even if there are delays. There's also been some issues on and off with the train time app where people have complained that occasionally the app will show trains as being held or delayed when they aren't actually held or delayed. Which is a good thing that they aren't actually, but that leads to some confusion if people are trying to make trains and they think that the one they were gonna get is not actually delayed. Jack?
On the 12th, an 18-wheeler truck struck the MTS bridge over King Street in Port Chester. The cleanup effort took most of the day and did cause the effort under the bridge. And it caused delays on service on the New Haven line. In other news, the Metro-North Twitter ran a poll pertaining to access for cycling and other multimodal options. Most said that they hadn't used a bike rack or bike locker at a Metro-North station. 87% of respondents stated that having a secure bike parking cage would encourage them to ride a bike to the station rather than driving. This was interesting because compared to 66.7% of respondents to the exact same survey that the LIRR did. And 87% of respondents say that we're using an on-demand secure bike parking cage as opposed to a regular bike.
It's an on-demand one.
I think so. It's if you remember,
When they bring one, they put.
I think it's more like you go up. Yeah, that's an app, and you open a cage, and it comes out, and you put your bike in, so that way no one will come.
Okay.
They did a pilot at Grand Central, I think.
Yeah,
But that was some, I guess that didn't,
Yeah.
there was some
I think
issues
there
with
was an
that.
issue with the contractor or something, but both railroads are currently looking into best places to put secure bike parking, and so. I think they've opened a comment portal on that, so if anybody has any suggestions near their stations, I think there's a way for us to submit feedback.
Roslyn, I thought of you the other night, we were at this event with Amy Paulin. And nobody in the room would stop talking, and so she goes, quiet car, quiet car. And we were like, oh, there isn't one.
On this side. Anything else?
That's it for us.
Anybody else have anything?
Anybody
Was
else?
somebody looking into the Woodbury Commons, maybe in a station?
Rich has.
Richard's looking into that, but you said that the next meeting isn't until. The next quarterly meeting isn't happening for until next week or so,
Next month.
next month, so. One of the things that is in the minutes was raising the issue of. The concern was having commuter parking at the lot, right? And the mall doesn't want that, so the possibility of not having trains stop there before 10. So if there were going to be a station there, to have trains stop there after 10, so it wouldn't be a commuter lot. It would be a shopping lot.
Sure. Okay, I like it. That would be a fair sum.
Well, that's, I think, what came
It's
out,
not-
so Rich, I think that you were going to try and raise that, maybe.
Yeah, again, we have an election in November. And, if the board changes, you could get different opinions again, so the elections are gonna have an impact.
So is the current board sympathetic to this or not?
Somewhat, they want to see what happens to the TOC, if it's going through or not.
I'm not sure of how the land is by this, where the proposed station would be, but I think it's a simple. High-level platform with a ramp. I mean, doesn't have to be something like we built for third track on Long Island Railroad. It's could be a very simple affair.
What I'll do is I'll go to the top of the parking lot, which is, I think it's 3 stories.
Close to Route 32.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 stories. I'll take a picture of the area where the platform could be. I know there's some wetland there. There's a pond, so that may have an impact on some of the area.
Build a station in on wetlands all the time, just. It just takes 25 years to do
Yeah.
the environmental analysis. Yeah, right. They just kind of sting.
They're gonna put a whole hotel there, so.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate, yeah, send it to us, and I'd love to see it.
A long time ago, Metro North had a plan for a station at Woodbury Common, and the whoever ran the mall at that time was in favor of it, and we thought it could also be used for commuter parking, except on big holiday like Thanksgiving time and all of that, when people were shopping like crazy. But during normal times, they thought it could be used as an overflow lot from the Harriman station, which was pretty full at the time. And of course, I gather from what you say, the mall doesn't want that. They don't want commuters parking there now, so it would just be for shoppers in that case, yeah.
Yeah, correct. They don't want commuters parking in the morning. But again, if I look at the volume at Harriman, it's about half of what it used to be before COVID.
Sure,
Yeah, so it's not a problem anymore from that standpoint.
we
Yeah.
saw some very, very crowded parking lots.
Yeah,
On the Harlem line yesterday. Good week, of course.
And is the parking up there is cheap, right? Is it still 25,000 a year or what?
It depends which.
Depends who runs it. you know.
What is that? Harriman, the Harriman lot, I thought.
Yeah, I just don't know what the prices they're going to be.
Yeah, I don't know what, I know there's a daily fee. I don't know what the annual is.
But they had a plan, there were wetlands there, and they had a plan how to deal with it, and they were building a little bridge or something like that, and so. Metro North might still have those plans around, if possibly that could be used today. You know, updated and so on.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a picture. This way you can better see from the rooftop looking down what that land looks like.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
Great.
Just for a motion to adjourn,
I move to adjourn.
second? All right, thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you.